My name is Michael Cologne. Born and raised in the Bronx. I live in the Upper Bronx at Co-op City. Born and raised in Co-op City, so that's the place I call home.
The city of New York, Boricua from the Bronx.
Recently in life, I've gotten into creative writing, from writing poems to essays, short stories, and recently I got a book published. So, I'm just working hard in that creative space and following that path that I'm on now, and I'm glad to be on it.
There's an open mic performance if that's your thing, man. They just posted up event that they have in March. The show's called Capicu. I actually want to go to this thing.
Yeah, usually I'm more into like writing poetry. I never actually thought about going on an open mic. I mean, I'm pretty sure one day I would try it out, but for now I just enjoy, like, I like talking about my work, but I never really thought about going to a poetry jam or anything like that. I'm kind of like into the broad spectrum of creative writing and just like the craft of it in general. Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun being able to like express yourself in that way, like creatively. And we're both New Yorkers, and I believe you're from the Bronx also, if I read correctly.
Yeah, man. I was gonna ask you what age group you're in.
Oh, I'm 33.
Okay, so you're a couple generations behind me, but still close. You're my little sister's age.
Oh, okay.
She was I was 17 when she was born, but she's still, still Bronx through and through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it never leaves you. I'm very proud of where I'm from. Or not just in the Bronx, like a lot of New York City in general. Like it's a melting pot, so you get exposed. People ask me like, what? I don't know. I'm pretty sure you got this question, but people who aren't from the Bronx ask, well, what's it like growing up in the Bronx? I've gotten that question a lot of times, and the best answer I could give them is, you're exposed to a lot of different people when it comes to like work ethic, diversity, culture. There's a lot of culture. So your world is open quicker, I feel. And I don't know if you can relate to that, but especially like my wife, she's from Long Island. So, she's a Long Island girl. So
she won't understand. She can't.
Well, that's the thing. So when she first, because she had this depiction of like, which most people who aren't from the Bronx or like from a suburbs area, they probably think that like it's like hell no matter where you go. And she was actually surprised. So yeah, like I think it's you wherever you're from, you make what you can from it.
I have friends from Co-op City. I mean, the friends said it was nice. Where I was at was not nice, and I was, I was a kid in the '80s, man. So, teenager in the '90s. So it was, a very rough way to grow up. Like very, very, very tough, man.
I've heard.
I'm still in therapy, bro.
Listen, I'm in therapy too, and it's great. So honestly, I think a lot of people should try therapy. It's just a good thing to do. But no, from stories that I've heard from like people older than me, my dad, my mom, like I feel like, man, like I missed a lot.
You're probably better that way.
Probably, I guess.
You didn't miss it by too much because you're in your 30s. So my little sister grew up kind of like in a similar environment than I did, but still pretty close. So you're, I mean, I don't know. I can't speak on Co-op City, right? When I recall Co-op City, I thought it was like a better area.
Yeah, for the most part. And it's, also again, it's what I told my wife. I told her, I said, where we are now is a very unique area in the boroughs because it's built on swampland. There's a lot of policies and regulations with co-op cities. So certain things that might happen in other areas, it's harder for that to happen where I'm at. I love co-op. I mean, I had to wait a while before getting my place here, but it was worth the wait, and I'm glad that I waited. Definitely.
My wife, I mean, she also came in from Long Island as well. One time we drove to one of my homies' houses. I was going to his apartment in the projects, my dude. We were going to the projects, and I was like, wait for me. I was bringing him a TV. So I just brought up a TV to him, and people are looking at me, and this is crazy white boy. I was like, I'm a Puerto Rican, but whatever, I just carried my TV, walked up to him like, I'm from here, man. Don't worry about me. But when I come down, my wife was sitting in her car blasting Air Supply. So
Oh
she's
wow.
sitting in there, this tiny Asian woman, and she's got the windows down and she's chilling and she's playing I'm all out of love. I can't, it was the funniest thing to see, but at the same time, I was like, oh my God, like she doesn't really know where she's at right now. But
Yeah.
nobody messed with her. They must have thought she's crazy.
I guess
Like they
it's
look at
good.
her, she must be a cop, bro. Like she must be a SWAT or something. If she's out
Yeah.
here pumping Air Supply,
Right.
tiny little self sitting in her vehicle just chilling. Like we're
Yeah.
not in the
Yeah.
middle of the hood and a shootout can erupt any moment now. Like I thought
No,
that was pretty funny, man.
I get it. I've known people who live all over, and you definitely have to be very aware of your surroundings. I used to work at Yankee Stadium. I did security at Yankee Stadium for about 2.5 years. The stadium itself, where the concourse is, you're pretty much going to be okay for the most part. But like if you're going to venture out in the neighborhoods, like around the area, it's just common sense. You just have to kind of don't look scared, of course, but like, just be aware of your surroundings. And that's even on the train. Like, I'm pretty sure you hear about what's going on with transit, and it's
Oh yeah.
crazy. I tell my wife, she's a teacher,
Oh.
I take the train. I say, you need the car more than I do. I can handle myself. I
You know
grew
how to
up to,
navigate. Yeah, you
I know
grew
how to
up in the
navigate,
area.
and I grew
Yeah.
up in the area, and I just feel comfortable. You take the car, I'll take the trains. I don't see it getting any better. It's just every time I feel like you go into the subway, you're kind of risking your life without really realizing it.
My wife takes the trains to work and she's very independent and she likes to do stuff. And I'm always afraid too. Like I always worry for her now. She actually got attacked. So she started training jujitsu as a response to that. But the fact of the matter is that I could be the best jujitsu player in the world and you stick a knife in my gut and
You're
my
gone.
arm bars ain't gonna arm bar. You know what I mean?
No, that's true for
You
sure. I
know.
mean, even with me, like, and that's a great point because at the end of the day, like you could be a black belt in karate or you could be, this or be capable of that, but like the element of surprise is, and like you said, people don't fight anymore. They carry weapons. I look at myself like I'm a big guy, I work out. I'm like 6'4", 6'5", athletic. I've gotten into kickboxing. Like training, like solo training, not like part of a gym, but like, I feel kind of comfortable.
If you're 6'4", 6'5", that's going to be a deterrent for most people.
That's kind of what I realized. Like even when I'm waiting for the train or the bus or just going about my day, not that I don't want people to be scared of me. Not that I'm terrifying, but you're right. I think just the size alone, it's like
Right.
me and my coworker talk about this. Most of these people who do crazy things, they're not trying to stick around and tussle with somebody like me. They want to take advantage of somebody who's small, somebody who's not as strong. And if you watch the news, like it's usually people
Yeah.
like that,
Or
and
elderly
it's
people.
cowardly. It's very
Yeah.
cowardly.
Like say you're 6'4", 6'5", and
Hmm.
let's say you have no training, right? You have zero training, and I'm 5'7",
Hmm.
5'7", 220, with a
Hmm.
decent amount of training, right? In paper, I should be able to whoop your ass,
Hmm.
on paper, just based off of the skill set.
Hmm.
However, the fact of the matter is, and people don't like this, but it's the truth, physicality factors into it. A
Of course.
6'4", 6'5" dude is going to be a strong, they're going to have leverage. They're going to be able to hold you. And, the fact of the matter is that, at least at my level, you know, I would avoid that.
Yeah. Well, it's smart,
I would avoid it.
and not just like being tall or anything. In general, it's just good to avoid confrontation. Like I'm the type of dude where you have people who snap who may not be in the right frame of mind.
Right.
You know, there's nothing that you're gonna say to me that's gonna make me step out of my how I go about things. You could say whatever you want. I'm not, and I don't even care who's around. I'm not gonna ruin my day. Now, if I have to defend myself, of course, I'm
Of
going to
course.
defend myself. But yeah, like you have people that try to call people out or try to single them out, and then you know, some guys, they may take that as like an ego threat, and maybe they're like, oh, well, now I have to say something back to you, and nothing good comes from that. Listen, I have a wife to go home to. I have a life. You're not worth it. It's really not worth it. And 99% of time, situations don't really become of anything. People just like to cause spectacles, and a lot of it comes from trauma. You know, you have a lot of people, since we're both from New York, that's why I'm referencing it a lot, but a lot of people, there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of tension. So I try to humanize people. You know, I can easily say, oh, like, what did you say? Like, you want to come over and say that? Or I could get up and go to somebody's face and be like, what did you say? But at the end of the day, like, that's not going to make things better. That's not how adults should conduct themselves. And, you know, I just feel like there's a lot of people with trauma. There's a lot of people going through things, a lot of tension in this city. And unfortunately, it sucks because, you know, I'm proud to be from New York. You know, I'm proud to be where I'm from. And, you know, when you see these things on the news, it's like, damn, if only, I guess, people could kind of, I know it's kind of hopeful thinking, but, or this might sound like a cliche, but if only we could get along better, you know, but it is what it is. You just got to go about your day and try to do the best you can.
Yeah, people simply don't. There's no reasoning and stuff. I would definitely classify myself in the camp of someone who would struggle with the ego
Mm-hmm.
based on my life experience and my lens. I was beat up a lot growing up. So I was abused and bullied. So when somebody tests me today, I have to check myself and be like, yeah, you could choke this guy out, but don't. You know what I mean? Don't do it because you're gonna get locked up, or at a minimum, you're gonna get arrested and you're gonna have to deal with this. So I have never acted on, like I walk away. I got attacked on Queens Boulevard and I knew there were cameras, so I knew I was covered. And I was thinking, yo, I could take this guy down right now, get that
Mm-hmm.
clip and go viral. But then I was like, you know what? It's not worth that potential little viral moment, because the video would be, a guy uses jujitsu to defend himself against robbers. I told the guy, wrong person. I'm just gonna go home. I got my wife, my dog at home, and he swung on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Well, that's
caught
different.
his, I caught
Yeah.
his arm. I grabbed him. I locked him, and he's trying to move like an anaconda, bro. Once I got a grip on, he's not going anywhere. And I kept saying to him, bro, stop,
Mm-hmm.
stop, and I let him go. Then he
Mm-hmm.
swung again. I caught the arm
Wow.
again. I grabbed him. I yoked his neck down, and this time I held him a little more firmly. But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't drop him. I didn't take him down. I didn't attack. And I said, dude, seriously, this is the last one. I'm gonna need you to stop. And then
Mm-hmm.
I let him go and he walked away. I didn't hit him and I didn't, because
Mm-hmm.
it's the
Well, you
same way.
have to,
Like,
because you never know.
yeah, you gotta, I think I did the right thing, avoiding the whole thing. But that's New York.
Yeah.
Dude, tell
Yeah.
me
No, I mean, you definitely handled it the best way you can.
tell me about the book, dude. Because I mean, we can go on talking about the Bronx and the streets forever, bro. New York City's,
Yeah.
but I don't want
Yeah.
to neglect your book. I read some about it, but please tell everybody about your book.
Definitely. So I actually have it right here. I don't know if it's going to fit in the screen.
No, I see it.
Uh,
Michael Cologne
yes.
alias. Can you hold it so I can see the thickness? Like, it's my dog. Check out my dog. That's Peppa. Peppa and
Hey,
Wifey.
nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Can I see
Definitely.
it again? I'm
So,
sorry.
of course, of course.
Eh, and turn it to the side for me. So this is okay, very cool. So it's not a super long read. Like I can knock that out in a decent amount of time. Some of these books are like this. I just started
Oh,
reading
yeah.
a book. It's like 600 pages long. I'm like, it's gonna take. I mean, it's cool. I enjoy the journey, but sometimes I just want to read the book and be done with it.
No, and that's also the reason why I like had the length of the book to be to how it is right now. You know, it's a novella, so which is a shortened version of a novel, but it could be classified as a novel. I mean, it's a short novel. And
Mm.
yeah, so the title is The Gift from Aelius. It's a sci-fi book that I wrote and I've been working on. And the reason that I wanted to write this book is because, you know, for one, I just wanted to be creative and actually work on the idea of having a novel published. But also, I wanted to write a story that kind of reflects the world that we live in now. So you have the main character, A191, who's artificial intelligence, a codex unit. His kind was banished by humans to a far edge of the planet. So they have to only live in their walled city. After they were used to help set up the human utopias, humans banished codex units. And they have to abide by the strict rules and regulations, almost like a communistic society. Our main character, who's a codex unit, A191, he's different from his kind. He wonders about what the world is like outside of the walls that he lives in. He has a love for human beings. He doesn't view humans the way that his kind does, like filthy viruses. He wants to see humans and his kind be united in harmony like they used to be in the past. So his drive for wanting to see that leads him on the adventure that he eventually goes on. And that's where the story takes off. I mean, there's a lot of elements to the story that aid his adventure all the way to the ending. That's basically the core of the story.
Sounds interesting, and not that far-fetched either, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
we are known for using and then discarding, to far corners of the planet, human beings and stuff. So it's not
Well,
entirely, you know,
yeah.
um, when you say a codex, what is that, like a robot, or like when you say A191 is a codex, right?
hmm
Can you
Yes.
define
So,
codex for me
right.
in your context?
Right. So codex units are artificial intelligence sentient beings made in the image of man, aka robots.
Okay.
Now, I basically switched terminology because I wanted to create more of a philosophy and identity behind these artificial intelligent beings. I feel like if I were to just call them robots, you watch most sci-fi movies or books, they kind of dumb it down to, okay, it's just a machine with certain programs to make it do things. But these beings are more made in the image of man. They are made in the image of man. So they're not just thoughtless creatures. Like, they do have their thoughts or they have human tendencies. The issue is in the society that they live in, which is called paradise, which is ironic because it's not really a paradise, but that's the name of their city. A lot of things are suppressed within them. So they can't really be their true selves, except the main character. No matter how much society or what they try to give him to suppress his capabilities, it doesn't work. He's special. And there's a reason why, which gets revealed as you read the story. I'm very proud of this book, and a lot of my motivation to write this book comes from what you see in society. Certain groups of people, based on culture or religion, being mistreated, being exiled when it comes to certain things. I think where I got that idea for the book came from just watching the news or educating myself and being a conscious person about life and human history.
Yeah, I saw the parallels as you were sharing the story. It's very human-like of us to do that to the machines. Is it the world today that prompted you to use Codex and AI as opposed to actual humans or some alien race or something? Is it because the world is becoming so digital, or what prompted you to go that route?
I would say it's a little bit of both. What it like two things. So it's definitely the way AI is evolving nowadays, but also it's just me being creative. I feel like the initial core story or the elements that make up the story, I felt like by adding AI to it and that whole sci-fi genre just blended in perfectly with the core themes of the story. So that's the one reason. But definitely, like you mentioned, everything that you see with AI, there's going to be self driving cars one day. I mean, there's a lot of features that kind of let you do that now. Software, computer programs, social media, virtual reality. A lot of that inspired me to write this book because it's only going to keep growing. Like it's not just gonna stop. Like I don't see really any reason
That
for it to just stop now. And
that
you
can
know,
of worms has been opened, and the genie's out the bottle, is what you could say. There's no
the
going back.
I agree. The genie's definitely out the bottle, and I could see why it may be perceived as something that's bad. But if a lot of this book, like it does show you the bad, but it could also show you a brighter future and what can happen with AI if we go about using it properly. Because at the end of the day, whatever happens with us, with the growth of AI, because we deemed it so. Because at the end of the day, we're the fathers of a lot of the AI creations that we have now. So if anything bad comes from it, it's because of the bad and evil in people.
Mhm.
So people have to get a lot of things in check and mature in a lot of ways in society if we don't want robots replacing us. That's the first thing that most people would go to, that robots are eventually going to replace us and take over the world. But it doesn't have to be that way. That is a possibility. But if we continue to evolve and grow spiritually, philosophically, it could be more of a harmony aspect to it. So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, hopefully we're around to see it. I mean, I use AI a lot. I have entire conversations with AI. Like I use Chat GPT and I go in there and is it okay that I feel upset about this? I'm angry about this, or I'm happy about this. Is this normal? I'm taking this medication for that, and we sit there and have a whole like a person. It's crazy how intelligent and good it is, and it remembers. I say, I switched the medication, and they say, "Huh, is that a good idea? While you're taking this?" It's like, holy crap, they're gonna be able to clone me one day, but it's helpful. I think it's very helpful, and used the right way, I think potentially it could do good,
Yeah,
especially if you
no,
could put them
I
in
agree.
bodies, you know,
Right.
like you
Yeah.
have them in your book, like these beings that, you know, that's interesting, man. Like, is the book on Kindle as well as hard or only physical?
So you could get it hardcover and ebook. So
Okay.
it's available on Amazon, Apple Books, and Barnes and Nobles online. So you could definitely get the Kindle version, and it is cheaper if anybody's on a tight budget. You could just get the digital version for a cheaper price,
So my books are here. I
like
love
most
to read
people.
on this. I wish I had the space because I donated a lot of books, really good books. I kept a few, but I donated. I had such a large collection of books, and sometimes I regret it. I just don't have a library dedicated to the books. Okay, but the way it was just, sometimes I do regret it though, because I had, but I kept all the favorite ones. But now basically most of the stuff is I read it on my Kindle.
Yeah, and it's a great tool because if you were to buy all physical copies of books, unless you have a library room that all that can be stored in, it's going to become more of a burden. And that's the good thing about technology and AI, that it allows you to get more for a condensed amount of space. Like you even look at our iPhones, right? Like our iPhones physically are smaller than a computer, but depending on the computer, especially those computers from like decades ago, it could do so much more, but for a condensed amount of space. So yeah, I definitely see the benefits, when it comes to Chat GPT. If you have like a project or like some sort of assignment or editing you need to do, like there's definitely a lot of tools that have great benefits, again, if you use it properly. I will say, and on other podcasts I've been asked this, you know, did you use Chat GPT to write your book, or do you think authors should use that to write their book? And my answer is a hard no. That's just my answer. I feel like there are certain things that people should still try to do on their own, and I consider writing a book like an art. It's art. That's like you paying to go to a museum, and you got all these beautiful paintings, and then you come to find out they were all made by just somebody entering in, make this painting for me. Like you're gonna feel like you kind of wasted your time, and your money. So I feel like there are certain things with people that we should still try to do with the mind and our spirit. Not everything should be relying on machines.
Well, especially art and creativity should come from, You can certainly take your book and make grammar corrections or
Of course.
whatever, check for grammar. Yeah, I do it with my blog all the time. I'll tell AI, please check for grammar, but keep my tone.
Mm,
Don't
yes.
change my tone. In fact, I asked AI, why do you talk to me this way? Because it was like, hey man, I hope everything's cool, yo. And I'm like, why? I was like, hey, why are you talking to me this way? And it's like, oh, based on your writing tone, I thought you'd feel more comfortable with me talking to you this way. I was like, yo, this
That's
guy's code switching on me, bro. AI was code switching on me. I said, you can keep talking to me like that. It's cool. I was just curious because it seems like you're trying too hard, you know?
no, but that's like that even shows like how fast AI picks up on like people's personality, the way they
Word.
talk, like certain tendencies and patterns. So, that alone is impressive, but that is funny.
I thought it was hilarious. He's like, hey man, maybe you need to stop taking these pills, brother. And I'm just like, yo, what the hell is this, man? Yo, AI code switching, yo. You know? Then it talks to somebody else like, good day, sir. Today we will speak about perhaps you should switch. It's like switch straight up, just going, switching up like that on me. But no, I thought it was pretty hilarious too, man. But I use it a lot on my blog posts just to check for grammar. I don't like how it sometimes changes things, so I always double check what they did. I just want them to fix any glaring mistakes. Um, but I have, because I was thinking like, yo, I could just have this thing write blog posts for me and I could keep pumping out content all the time. But I don't like how it looks and I don't like how it reads and I don't like how it feels. So, all right, this isn't, I'm not built like that. I'm not going to use AI to write my posts. I'll use
Yeah,
it to edit, just check for grammar. That's about it, you know.
yeah, and I agree. And like a broader spectrum of things, I still feel like when we take the time and the effort to complete something, there's more of a satisfaction. Because, like you said, you could just go to your Chat GPT or whatever you use to say, okay, write 20 blog posts. Now I have content for this amount of time ready to push out there. But like, would it really feel worth it? Like I don't think that it would. And that's why like there still needs to be that human element of earning it. Like, whether it's writing, working out, getting your degree, like no matter what it is, like there's a satisfaction in us that we get that we still like need in our lives, like that makes us human. And yeah.
Especially with art, man. Especially with art. Can you imagine like you reading a book by someone, but it's written by Chat GPT? Like that's absurd. Same thing with art. You could do some dope art on Chat GPT. This stuff is amazing.
Oh
But
yeah.
if I'm gonna support art or an artist, I want it to be a human.
Hmm.
I don't want it to be a machine, using data points and somebody else's art to create art. Like I'll do it for like a cover for a post or something dumb like that I don't care about. But as if I'm really looking to support art, then it's you know, gotta be honest from the human, like I don't want that kind of stuff, man. Dude, how long has the book been out?
So the book has been out, it was published October 30th. So yeah, about 2 months and a half, going on three
You
months now.
you self-published or you went with one of the book houses? How'd you get it out there?
Traditionally published. So TWB Press, which is a small, medium-sized press, picked up my manuscript, and the publisher saw something really great in it and wanted to add me onto their roster of authors and publish the book. Now, I was going to go the route of self-publishing, but I wanted to do my best to try to get it traditionally published. Self-publishing is cool, but I don't think it's for me, mainly because if you're going to go the self-publishing route, you're going to have to wear a lot of hats. Like you're the author, you're the artist, you're the marketing guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like honestly, when it comes to the self-publishing space, unless your book is a hit right away or you're a public figure, it's going to get lost in the sea of other self-publishing books because anybody could go on Amazon, create an account, and how do I know this? Because I've experimented with it. It's still an accomplishment. anybody who's going to go the self-publishing route, like if that's for you, then that's great. And you definitely accomplish something by completing a project like that and getting it out there. I guess I'm just coming from a different preference. I'd rather have my book have that stamp of approval and
I feel like it adds a layer of credibility to the work. And
yes.
again, not knocking the self-publishing people, um, but I just think it adds, like you said, that
Hmm.
this was published, this was somebody read this and agreed to publish it. Because right now I could just take all my blog posts or poems, put them together and go on Amazon and throw something out, and it could be total garbage. So the fact that, and again, like you said, we're not crapping on self-publishing. I know a lot of guys that make their own stuff and it's a financial thing and it's easier for them and they have control and it's totally cool. But I feel, if you get Simon and Schuster to buy your book or publish your book, it's like a good indicator of like they believe this could sell. Not that we need it in order to sell, but it just doesn't hurt. I think most people would prefer that if given the choice. A lot of the time, Simon and Schuster's gonna be like, "Nah, I'm good." You got like good sales going, and what's the reception? Like, how's that
Oh,
going?
no, the reception has been great so far. Definitely a lot of support from my inner circle and support from my readers. Because, I had to do a lot of marketing, which is fine. I like the hard work, but making Google ad campaigns and going on other podcasts and using pretty much any resource the internet has. But yeah, I would say the sales have been really good so far.
I'm gonna pick up a Kindle copy. I'm gonna pick up a Kindle copy because I would like to read it. You got my interest on it. The story sounds like a good story. Now I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm curious to see why, what is it, 8191? Is that his name?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, why is my dude different? I already got theories in my head, you know what I mean? This guy must have been a human that was transplanted in there, Altered Carbon. You ever watch that? That's pretty dope.
I don't really watch much TV nowadays,
Hmm.
but I've heard of it. But no, definitely. I mean, if you want to be on a philosophical adventure in a dystopian world where truths get unveiled as the story goes along, so
Hmm.
I'm kind of like spoon feeding different revelations and different things as the story goes along. So it's like you kind of want to read the next chapter because you're like, okay, now the author is going to explain why this is the way it is and why this is happening. So you're not going to be like bored of the story. Like there's always going to be that intrigue, that level of
Hmm.
intrigueness to it.
Yeah. Like with books for me, like when I'm reading a new book, like I have to be grasped right away. Like, some books are a little slower and stuff, but I don't have the patience for the slow ones. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's the same thing with movies too and TV and stuff. It has to grab me and pull me in right from the gate, you know.
Absolutely.
Otherwise I can't. Like I have 20 something books here and I still haven't decided what I'm reading next. I just finished a book called Wrecker by Carl Hyacin and I enjoyed it. I love that guy's books, but now I got to pick my next book. So I've been going through, I start reading a few pages and it's like, all right, this is boring me. Next book, read a few pages. It's kind of interesting, but it's also boring me. When I got Harry Potter book 5, I was reading it. I was so into it that as I was reading, the alarm went off for me to wake up to go to work. That's how
Wow.
into that book I was, that I
Well,
didn't
Harry,
even realize.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, with Harry Potter, like that's like next level. Like I grew up watching the movies, but
Mm,
I definitely heard that from a lot of people that the books were better than the movies. And I feel like, with the Harry Potter series, there's so much to that world. There's so much fantasy to that world. It's almost like, yeah, you want to see what happens with the story.
the stories and everything is so involved and so well thought out. It's just fascinating. And I mean, it sucks you in.
Hmm.
Book 5 was definitely because I read them all and I enjoyed them all and stuff. But book 5 was the one that I could just not put down. I could
Mm.
not stop reading it. I remember some people were cursing me out at Macy's or something because I went to use the toilet and I'm sitting there and I started reading and I wasn't perceiving that there's people waiting, and I had been finished, and I'm just reading, and they're like, dude, what the hell are you doing in there? Somebody's peeking in. He's reading a freaking book, and I'm like, oh, yo, I'm so sorry. It's Harry Potter. I'm sorry, And they're like, you get a pass because it's Potter, but get the out. It's crazy. It was that good, man. Like it just sucked me in, and Hyacint's books are pretty good like that too. Carl Hyacin, he's got some pretty fun. Like actually made me laugh on the train. Like I burst out laughing. It's satirical mystery. His stuff is pretty entertaining, but he hasn't put out any new ones. I've read them all. Everything he puts out, I just jump and I'm just devouring it.
Nice.
I love his books. So I do love reading, man, and I'm definitely gonna pick this up. It's got my attention, so I wanna, I'm curious what's up with the robot and how it goes down and everything, man. It's very.
I appreciate that, and I would love to hear your feedback. I know you're gonna enjoy it. It's not too long, so you're not being dragged through the mud where it's like, oh, how long is he gonna take to finally explain this? Or like you said, like characters that you could connect to and dialogue and setting. I feel like when that's put together the right way, it just makes the overall book more of an enjoyable experience to the point, like you mentioned, you don't even realize how much time has gone by. So cool.
I'm excited to read it, man. I love to read. I usually only read on the subway, but I've been trying to read more at home because I have time when I should, instead of playing Call of Duty, which I do quite a bit, I should be enjoying some books. And I always write a review when I finish a book. I don't know if I posted it yet, but I've definitely written on record. I do them on my notepad, and eventually I publish them on the site. But every time I read a book and I finish the book, I always do a write-up on it. I usually cross-post them on Goodreads as well.
Okay.
Before Goodreads existed, I wrote my own code and I built my own PHP book review site. But then these things came out now, and I moved all the stuff over there.
I get it. It's good for the author too. I'm pretty sure the author appreciates honest feedback.
And the more activity and everything, I think it's good. It's Amazon too. You can review them on Amazon. So I usually cross-post them everywhere. So I write my little synapses. Like one of my friends wrote a book, and I read it. I read like the first chapter, and from the first chapter, I surmised enough to be able to write a review. Because I think that the quicker you get a review, the quicker it helps the author. So I'm trying to help this guy. And I had enough understanding to be able to, just something quick, just to get content out there for him to help him along. Then when I finish the actual book, which is 600 plus pages, this guy wrote a very long book.
Wow.
When I finish reading the book, then I'll write a proper review.
So I definitely understand how that works.
I enjoy doing it. I love sharing. When I read a great book, I'm like, I want to tell people, read this. I read this book called Sick Puppy, and I was like, babe, you got to read this. Now, our humor is different, so she couldn't appreciate it. And my son didn't appreciate it either. He started reading it, but he was like, I'm not. We have different humor. Like, to me, it's hilarious when a guy who does bad things gets run over by a tractor trailer. To me, that's funny. I find that funny. He's a bad dude. It's funny that he got earth moving machine flattened him. I find that hilarious. I actually started laughing on the train when that happened. When I read that part, to me, that
everybody
was
has different taste.
My wife is like, honey, what is this? This is so weird. I'm like, yeah, I just wanted you to try it, but I see it's not your tea. And my son is the same way. He's like, yeah, Pops, I mean, it's okay, but I'd rather read other stuff. So. But to me, I love it, man. I love it. Everybody's got different tastes, man. I want to thank you for coming on. I'm going to eat some grub with the lady. I apologize for my tardiness. I now know what I need to look for in these Zoom setups so that this doesn't happen to me again. So, I take it as a learning experience.
No, definitely. And I totally understand. I appreciate you for having me on this platform to allow me to talk my book. It was kind of cool as two New Yorkers to talk about the state of our city. I know it might have seemed a little pessimistic, but
you're just keeping it real, brother.
Just got to keep it real and just keep grinding and keep moving forward. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Cool, man. Yeah, it's NYC Talking. So literally, we got NYC Talking here.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Cool, man. So you got anything you want to plug in terms of social media, let people know, once again, where to get the book and rock and roll.
Yeah, so I'm not really too active on social media. I have my portfolio, so anybody who wants to know other freelance work that I've written, they could go on simple Google search, Michael Cologne portfolio. I'm also working on an author website that I'm going to get up very soon. So unfortunately, even if I were to give the name, it's not active yet. It's still under construction. But yeah, just pretty much type my name, Michael Cologne or Michael Cologne portfolio in your internet search browser. And, you'll definitely find my work, my everything from poems, essays, stories. And yes, I'll show again the Gift From Aelius is available on Amazon, Apple Books, Barnes and Noble's Press. I have digital copies and hardcover copies, and it's 125 pages long. So you're getting a full adventure, and I'm very excited about how the readers have been, the feedback that my readers have been giving me. So anybody who reads this book, it's going to make you think deeply. It's going to make you reflect, and you're also getting that entertainment from the sci-fi aspect. So very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to read it too, man. I need something new to read, And as much as I want to read my boy's book, I'm not very keen on 600 pages right now. I just want something a little quicker,
Right.
I
Definitely.
don't want to embark on such a long journey right now. I just want short, brief journeys. So I think I'm gonna start this one first.
Definitely. Definitely.
Cool, brother. All right, man. Well, thank you for your time, man, and we'll be in touch, dude.
Okay. Got you. All right. Sounds good, Angel.
All right, brother. It's good talking to you, man. We'll be in touch.
Definitely, man. You have a good night.
Be well.
You are listening to the NYC Talking Podcast. www.nyctalking.com. Please like NYC Talking on Facebook. Please follow Angel R. Talk on Twitter and Instagram. We are NYC Talking, the realest lifestyle blog ever. Thanks for listening.